amigos? I am Rodolfo Ramos, Bradesco BBI's Mexico strategist, and welcome to this What's Fun in Mexico, our bi-weekly video product. Amigos, we couldn't keep you indoors, and we had to man out this 15-degree weather here, minus 10 for those on the metric system, to bring you this beautiful shot of the US Intrepid carrier here on the Hudson River. This carrier is retired, it's now a museum, but it did fight the World War II and the Vietnam War. So I hope that you enjoy this backdrop that is very apropos of the current global geopolitics. So today, in this occasion, we're going to be talking about three topics. First, the US-Mexico negotiations and the latest news there. Second, we're going to be talking about a thematic report that we published on remittances. And finally, we're going to be giving you our thoughts on the recent growth that the pension funds, these AFOREs, have seen in Mexico. So kicking off here with our first point of discussion, this US-Mexico relationship negotiations. We always like to indulge in a little bit of conspiracy theory ourselves, but you really don't need much imagination to see the very tight collaboration that we've seen between US and Mexico. Donald Trump, after he heightened the rhetoric about a potential strike, a land strike on Mexico, we saw an impromptu telephonic conversation between both Presidents Claudia Sheinbaum and President Donald Trump taking place. We also saw the US FAA recently issuing an advisory that there will be military operations in the region. And finally, most recently, we saw how Mexico again extradited a group of high-profile criminal leaders to the US. So again, these are signals that there continues to be a very tight collaboration between both countries, and we agree that these discussions will remain extremely bumpy heading up to the July USMCA review. All of the topics are on top of the table, whether there's trade, security, immigration. But the good news is that we continue to see very tight collaboration, willingness from both sides to reach an agreement and strengthen basically the bilateral relationship. So this is very encouraging for us, for investors that are very closely monitoring these trade talks and what the ultimate outcome will be. So the second point here that we wanted to touch on is on remittances. We published in collaboration with our macro team an in-depth thematic report on remittances, and it's clear to us that the growth that we saw, this golden era that we saw of the remittances growth over the pandemic, is come to an end. The migration flows in Mexico have reversed, and the outlook for remittances is not of a growth similar to what we saw in those years. Our economists is expecting a 1% growth, which is a significant deceleration from what we've seen in the past. And this has important implications for several industries in Mexico, whether it's retail, whether it's cement companies, airlines, financial services. So this has important implications for investors, particularly for those companies that have heavy presence in some of these states that depend as much as 20%. You know, the remittances makes up to 20% of some states' GDP. So it can have important implications. We'll leave link to our full report so you can peruse it in more detail. The third point here that we wanted to touch on also is on this explosive growth that the AFORES assets under management has seen over the last few years. As you remember, in 2021, there was a pension reform that was approved that set out a gradual increase all the way up to 2030 on the on the employer contributions to employees' pension funds. Now they have surpassed $460 billion, and this has already exceeded our initial forecast that was for a doubling of the assets that they had under management. Of course, this has been a mix of higher contributions and also very strong performance that has driven this. But nonetheless, this is a very important consideration for international investors, particularly as they have 10% of that AUM, so close to $50 billion in local equities. And so it's very important for us to understand what drives their allocation decisions, and rates, of course, given their long-term nature, plays a big role. So basically, these are the three topics that we want to cover with you today. I hope you found them informative. And until the next time, amigos, take care and stay warm. Ciao, ciao.